For April 2014, this is CTA News and Review. As part of an ongoing plan to modernize the Red Line, Mayor Rahm Emanuel and CTA President Forrest Claypool announced the first phase of its Red and Purple Modernization program, which will completely rebuild the northern section of the Red Line and the parallel Purple Line between Belmont and Linden, and begin the next step in a federal process to secure funding for the Red Line Extension Plan, which would extend the Red Line south from 95th Street to 130th Street. The Red Line is CTA's busiest line, serving nearly 40% of all CTA train customers. With a significant portion of the Red Line built more than a century ago, the improvements would address the current need to expand capacity by building new infrastructure to accommodate growing ridership. The CTA announced details of the first phase of the Red and Purple Modernization Plan, which include completely rebuilding 4 stations, Lawrence, Argyle, Berwyn, and Bryn Mawr, and rebuilding all tracks, support structures, bridges, and viaducts for the Red and Purple lines between Lawrence and Bryn Mawr. It also includes the construction of a red-purple bypass near the Belmont station to eliminate a logjam that is caused by the current configuration, which has brown line tracks intersecting with red and purple line tracks, which creates delays and prevents the CTA from adding train service to ease overcrowding and to accommodate future ridership growth over the next 80 years. It would also provide a faster and more reliable commute for the 150,000 passengers who travel through the intersection each day. The CTA began major work on 2 near South Side projects, their rehabilitation of the Harrison Red Line station and the Orange Line 18th Street connector as part of a larger $92 million transportation investment in the near South Side, announced last year by Mayor Rahm Emanuel and CTA President Forrest Claypool. The $10 million Harrison Red Line station rehabilitation will provide a brighter, cleaner, and safer travel environment for the 1.4 million people who use the Harrison station each year. Improvements will include structural and cosmetic repairs that will upgrade the 70-year-old facility and its 3 entrances, following tunnel lighting improvements and painting completed at the station last year. The rehabilitation work includes building 2 main entrance canopies, waterproofing to reduce pooling of water in mezzanine and platform areas, installation of new granite flooring, new lighting, and repairs to all 3 station stairways. Work on the Orange Line's 18th Street connector, which was built 45 years ago and carries Orange Line trains to and from the Loop, began on Friday, April 18th. The $25 million project will make significant repairs to the half-mile structure that will provide a smoother, more reliable ride for customers. The project work will include painting, structural improvements, waterproofing, and track work, which includes the replacement of worn rail ties and components. The CTA also continued track work on the Blue Line O'Hare branch as part of Your New Blue project announced by Mayor Emanuel and CTA President Claypool in December. The track work will create a smoother, faster, and more reliable ride for customers. Peggers and vandals should think twice before leaving their mark on buses, trains, or at stations. The CTA and the Chicago Police Department are cracking down on vandalism thanks to the CTA's growing security camera network. With the ability to catch more vandals on camera, the CTA is now employing a new strategy to deter graffiti on trains, buses, and other transit properties, filing lawsuits against the parents of minor children and others arrested for the crime to recover the cost of damages. Already in 2014, following several police surveillance missions and using images pulled from station and rail car cameras, police have made 60 arrests for graffiti-related crimes on CTA properties, many of which would not have been made without images caught on CTA cameras. In just the first 3 months of this year, these 60 graffiti-related arrests are the equivalent of all CTA vandalism arrests made in 2013, the result of new rail car cameras added to the fleet in late 2013. Officials from the CTA celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Yellow Line, also known as the Skokie Swift. The event featured rides on 2 historic CTA train cars built in 1923 by the Cincinnati Car Company for the Chicago Elevated Railways, one of the CTA's predecessor companies. The Skokie Swift opened to the public on April 20th, 1964, with service from Dempster to Howard. It became a permanent and integral part of the CTA-L system and was renamed the Yellow Line in 1993, following the CTA's assignment of color names to all L routes. It has continued to use the distinctive swift bird icon, that has branded the line since its inception. Brand new cars were assigned to the line in 1994, and more recently the CTA's newest generation of rail cars, the 5000 series, have been assigned to the line, providing customers with a smooth, comfortable ride. Last year, the yellow line saw more than 6,300 rides each way, a nearly 6% jump from the previous year. The yellow line had more than 1.9 million total station entries in 2013. In the next major step of the transition to the Ventra fare payment system, the CTA and PACE reminded customers that as of May 1st, they could no longer reload magnetic stripe cards or use Chicago Card Plus. Nearly 9 out of every 10 rides on the CTA was taken with Ventra as of mid-April. The next major milestone is June 1st, when customers can no longer use Chicago Card or Chicago Card Plus, and they can no longer reload magnetic stripe fare cards. CTA and PACE will complete the full transition to Ventra on July 1st. Customers can visit VentraChicago.com for complete balance transfer rules and event dates, how-to videos, and frequently asked questions. For all your breaking CTA news, go to transitchicago.com/news and follow us on Facebook and Twitter.